If you're a maker and you heavily relied on craft shows, live events, and farmers markets to make sales, you're probably experiencing a huge hit on your income right now due to coronavirus and events being canceled. In this video, I'm going to share with you a super effective and fast way to get your business online and making sales again. Hi, my name is May, and I help makers, artists, and designers make a consistent income from selling their handmade products online. This strategy that I'm about to share with you is not just for makers who made most of their income through live events, but also for makers who were relying a lot on Etsy previously to make sales, but you're interested in transitioning over to your own website. This works insanely well and really quickly if you do it right. And this is the same strategy that I taught to my A Sale a Day students who are seeing huge success with this. One woman who used this strategy to get off of Etsy is making an 8 times return on her investment. In other words, for every $1 she's putting into Facebook ads, she's making $8 back. Another student of mine just made 50 sales over the weekend from this same strategy. Okay, so first let's talk about the prerequisites for how to make the most of this strategy, because I don't want to waste your time with this video if you don't fit these requirements, okay? This will not work for everyone. It will not work for you if you've never sold your products before or if you're just getting started. To use this strategy, you should already have been selling your products for a while and you already know your products sell well. Now, I didn't say this strategy was going to be free. You will be spending money to get traffic over to your site, but if you do this right, you should be very profitable. We're going to have your money make money for you. As a business owner, you have to understand that you have to choose between free or fast. If you want things to be free, you can't expect things to be fast. And if you want things to be fast, then you have to be prepared to spend money to get fast results. You can't have both. Now, let's talk about the bare minimums for what you need to transition your offline business to an online business. We're not going to waste time with all the other bells and whistles that are nice to have, but don't give you the majority impact for your effort. In other words, I want to help you focus on the 80-20. What is the 20% of effort that you can put in that is going to generate for you 80% of the results? In this video, or generally, my philosophy is that we're not interested in pursuing the remaining 20% of optimizing your results. We're going to get to just good enough, not perfect. First, you're absolutely going to need a website, and I highly recommend using Shopify. Why? Because Shopify is fast and it works right out of the box. Building your own site off of something like WordPress and WooCommerce is really only something I recommend to someone who is super tech savvy. But even if you were really technical, getting a WordPress shop set up is going to take you more time than building up a Shopify site. Also, we're not going to set up shop on marketplace sites like Etsy or Amazon, because we're going to be using paid advertising with Facebook and Instagram. And the number one rule when it comes to using paid ads is you always want to direct that traffic over to a platform that you own and that you can control. You don't want to spend your money buying traffic and sending that traffic to Etsy or Amazon because you don't own those platforms. And it's so much more likely the traffic you send there, people are just going to click off to someone else's shops and leave yours. That's just a waste of money, right? So you're going to make the most of your investment with paid ads, directing those ads to your own website. When you're setting up a Shopify site, you can use the base $29 a month plan. And for a theme, I highly recommend using the minimal theme. It's free, it converts well, and it's the same theme that my husband and I use for our new print-on-demand art shop, where we're making over $50,000 a month in sales with. So don't think you need an expensive paid theme to make money on Shopify. The next must-have thing you need are product photos. You ideally want this on a plain background. It can be any color you want, but white is safest and multi-purpose. When you invest in the time to take photographs of your products, white background photos are going to work well for marketing, media outreach, and also eventually when you want to sell on Amazon, they're going to require that you have your product photos on a white background. If you don't want to use white, that's okay, but you should aim for your photos to be cohesive and consistent. I also highly recommend investing in a light kit where you have light box and lighting. This is going to help you achieve a consistent look with accurate color. And that way you also don't have to rely on natural sunlight, which will definitely give you inconsistent photos because the sun's always different, right? With a light kit, you can also photograph at any time of the day, so you'll be able to really crank out those photos a lot faster. You want to have at least 5 different photos of each product you sell. Take one at every angle and also take a reference photo for size, like your product in your hands or your product next to a coffee mug. This will help people quickly gauge the size of your product online. Once you have your Shopify site up and you have your product photos, you can start building out your site and setting up your product listings. If you have a large collection of designs, just aim to get about 20 to 30 different designs up at first. You can work on the rest later. Having more designs doesn't always translate to more sales, so don't put the pressure on yourself to get everything up right away. The whole goal here is to get yourself set up and making sales again with speed. Don't forget to spend a little bit of time configuring your Shopify settings and making sure things like your payment processing, shipping, and creating important pages like an about page, a contact us page, maybe an FAQ page, so that your future new customers are getting good and clear customer service when they come to your site. You can also spend a bit of time customizing your site so that it looks more on brand. For example, you can upload your own logo and change the colors around your site. Big warning here. Don't mess around too much with customizing your site, because the important thing here is that your site is organized, neat, tidy, and easy to use. Sometimes people customize their site too much, and they change their fonts or colors to something that's really hard to read. People will definitely leave your site if it's not easy to use. So prioritize ease of use over being creative here with your site design. This will directly affect your conversion rate, which is how likely people are to become a customer when they come to your site. So for example, if you get 100 people coming to your site every day, and if you have a 1% conversion rate, that means 1 out of those 100 people will turn into a customer and buy something. So if your site is hard to use, your conversion rate could be less than 1%, which means you're losing out on sales. You want your conversion rate to be as high as possible, with the 1% being a benchmark number to aim for in the beginning. You also want to sign up for a free service called Hotjar, which is going to allow you to watch video recordings of how people are using your site. It's all anonymous, but this is super useful at pointing out areas of your site that are causing people to leave or making them confused. This will help you fix your site to make it easier to use and in turn increase your conversion rates. You will of course need traffic to start seeing how people are using your site though, right? Don't worry if you're not getting traffic right now, that's the next step. But we just want to make sure that Hotjar is installed before you move on to the next step. Remember, you don't want this to be perfect, but you want to aim for being just good enough. The faster you can get up your site, the sooner you can start making sales again. Once you've got your website set up and you're ready to show it to the world, you can move on to this next phase of the strategy with paid advertising. What you're going to need here is a spreadsheet or a list of your past customers' email addresses. So if you're coming from Etsy, you'll have to go through into each of your individual separate orders to find each customer's email address. If you're coming from the craft show world, then hopefully you've been collecting people's email addresses whenever you do a show. And that could be people who are interested in your products but who didn't buy, but just wanted to sign up for your email list so they can be notified when you're doing your next show. Or better yet, if you have an email list of actual buyers from your shows. You want the spreadsheet to be at least around 200 people, but the more the better. So if you can get to 1,000 people on your list, even better. Just make sure that these are people who you know are very interested in your products or who have bought from you before. If you have the choice to choose between the two groups, definitely focus on actual customers. Now, we're not going to be emailing these people. What we're going to do is give this list to the Facebook ads platform, and Facebook will create what's called a lookalike audience of the list of people you gave them. This lookalike audience will be a minimum of 1 million people that are very similar in demographic and psychographic as the list of people you gave them. So you're essentially having Facebook find 1 million other of your ideal customers for you. I mean, this is insanely valuable for your business if done right. So now let's talk about the actual Facebook ads strategy. I'm assuming here you already know your way around Facebook Ads Manager, which for those of you who are not familiar, the Facebook Ads Manager is the same platform you use to create both Facebook and Instagram ads. I'm not going to have the time to walk you through step by step how to do ads from the beginning in this video, but I'll give you the overall strategy here. You're going to be setting up 2 different campaigns. For the first campaign, you're going to use the engagement objective. At this point, we're not going to expect any sales just yet. The goal with this campaign is just to see which of the different ads that you will create is the best. We want an ad that grabs attention, stops people when they're scrolling in the newsfeed, and entices them to click over onto your site. So you definitely want to design your ads with those things in mind. For this engagement campaign, you'll want to have only 1 ad under each ad set. So if you end up having 10 different ads you've created that you want to test, then you'll have 10 different ad sets with 1 ad in each ad set. The reason we're doing this is to force Facebook to give each ad an equal amount of visibility. Now, you want to spend a total of $20 for each ad. So you can spend $10 a day over 2 days, or spend $20 in 1 day. It's the same thing here. And at the end of $20, you want to look at the metric post reactions to see how much engagement you got for each different ad. The ad that got the most amount of reactions is going to be the winning ad that you bring on to the next campaign. The second campaign is where you use the conversion objective, and the goal here is to start making sales. At this point, because we've done the work with the first campaign, now we know we have an ad that works really well for us, and we're spending money putting an ad out there that we know is effective. You don't have to guess. Now, how much do you spend per day on this new conversion campaign? This is a loaded question that I get all the time when I talk about doing ads. The first thing you need to know when it comes to your daily budget is that the more you spend, the faster you'll get results. So spending less isn't necessarily going to serve you. The second thing you need to know is that it's less about knowing what your daily budget is, but more about knowing when an ad is no longer effective. You need to do a little bit of math here to figure out your break-even point from your product's pricing. How much money can you afford to spend on Facebook ads and break even? So let's say I have a $30 necklace and all my costs to make that necklace, including labor and materials, is $5. That means I can spend up to $25 in Facebook ads to make a sale and break even. Breaking even means I'm not making a profit, nor am I losing money. You want to run your conversion campaign ad sets until it gets to spend 2 times of that $25. So once it reaches $50, and if it hasn't made any sales yet, then that ad set needs to get turned off and you need to test a new ad set with a different audience. I recommend starting testing your conversion campaign with your lookalike audience of past customers that we talked about before. But if that didn't get you any sales, then at that point you can create a lookalike audience of other things like people who engaged with your ads, people who spend the most time on your site, or people who added products to their cart. There's so many kinds of lookalikes you could make. Once those new ad sets reach $50 and didn't make any sales, then you turn it off and you try a new one and rinse and repeat that entire process until you find a matching ad set and ad that makes you sales profitably. If you're starting this process with a source email list of highly qualified email addresses, for example, it's better to use a list of past actual customers than to use a list of just email subscribers and non-buyers. You should expect to see results very quickly and not have to do a lot of testing. And of course, I say that assuming that your website converts at 1% or more. I hope I've given you enough information so you can go figure this out on your own if you want to do the research yourself. But if you feel you need a more step-by-step for how to do all of this, I teach this inside the A Sale a Day Business System program. And if you don't know what that is, I highly recommend that you check out this live stream I did where I broke down how my husband and I were able to build our new business to over $70,000 in sales in less than 5 or 6 months using Facebook ads. I talk more about my course in there so you can learn more about it. And if you're interested in joining the course, you can send me an email. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more handmade business tips. I'll put a link here to the live stream video again for you so you can watch that next.